Welcome everyone to my third sniper build update video. As you just saw, my headshot damage is now sitting at 4 million. So I'm going to go into some details about how I've bumped it up to those new values using the new set gear that was released with the incursions. Before I get into the gear though, I'd like to make a quick note about something I had missed in some of my other videos. And for people who are just joining in now, you can find the links to my other videos down below. They go into some more detail. This is just on top of those videos for the new stuff in the game and new things I've learned since then. So, first thing I want to point out is the accuracy modifier for weapon modifications. Now, I was under the assumption that only really applied to automatic weapons, because it limits how quickly the reticle spreads while you're doing sustained fire. It will keep it from growing as quickly and keep your bullets more on target. Now, like I said, I assumed that was only for automatic weapons, but it also affects the sniper rifles. After you fire, the reticle spreads out, but realistically it's back, no longer spread out before I'm done pulling the bolt, so it doesn't really affect it too much. However, when you first aim down sights with the bolt action sniper rifle, it starts as if you had just fired a shot the instant you aim down sights. So the very first time you aim down sights, you see right there, it shows the tiny little dot in the middle and then spreads out and then comes back together. So the higher your accuracy is, the faster you'll be able to get off that first shot, because you're not waiting for the bolt to be pulled back because your gun's fully loaded. So, if you have a higher accuracy on your sniper rifle, it will allow you to essentially quickscope better. You can pop out of cover, take the shot, and pop back faster the more accuracy you have. So, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the gear. So right now, I'm currently running with 3 sentries and 3 strikers. Now, the reason for this is I don't really like either of the 4-piece set bonuses for either of these sets with my build, because my build is designed around the whole mentality of one-shot kills. So the sentry bonus is kind of useless because there's no point in marking a dead body to do more damage to it, because your first headshot should kill it. So the sentry bonus is useless to me. As well, the striker bonus, technically I could take out my machine gun, unload into somebody really close to me, and then before the bonus fades away, I'd be able to take a headshot on something else and do crazy amounts of damage. But the amount of wind-up required in order to get that kind of damage doesn't really make sense in most situations. It's supposed to be a kind of a silent killer type. You don't want to have to do a whole bunch of stuff before you take your first bullet, because that kind of defeats the purpose. So, right now, I'll go through the sentry pieces first. We've got the chest piece. It's got my damage to elites, and it has armor and a mod slot, because there's not too many things you can put on a chest piece to give you bonus damage. The mask has the damage to elites and a mod slot, because it always has at least one mod slot. The gloves have my critical hit damage, marksman rifle damage, and damage to elites. Now, in case people don't know, the bonus you get for the sentry gloves, I get the headshot damage and the damage to elites. Now, if you're not fighting elites, if you're doing PvP, you could actually get rid of this, or one of your sentry pieces, for something else, because damage to elites is useless when you're fighting other players. So if you're doing that, I highly suggest changing out your chest piece for the reckless chest piece, because this damage by 12.5% is huge. Much larger than any other piece of gear you can get, because it's on all the time, instead of some pieces of gear that give you special bonuses in very specific situations. This is just on all the time. So if you're going to swap out one piece for a high-end piece, I suggest the chest piece. Now, The striker pieces I have, I've got the striker's pack with my critical hit damage and a mod slot. The holster just has the triple stat holster. Try and find a triple stat holster, and what I mean by that is firearms, stamina, and electronics. Realistically, you can get double stat holsters that have a major attribute, but the major attribute, or a bonus major attribute, I already have the mod slot, but another one, but the extra one that you can get doesn't really help you for a sniper build. And then the pads are giving me critical hit damage and damage to elites. So that's it for the gear sets and what I'm running with. The thing that really got me to 4 million, because with this new gear I was at 3.6, 3.7 million. What really got me to that 4 million mark was I finally got some better snipers. For anyone who's been watching since the first one, I've been using the same sniper rifle this entire time. But I finally got some new ones, and when it rains it pours. I got 3 really nice rifles. I actually got rid of one because the one I'm using now is even better than one that was better than my original. But the one I'm using now has brutal, so that's nice. And it actually has 150% headshot damage, so by default it's slightly worse than the one I was running with. However, it has proficient, which is extra nice. It's just a huge crit chance bonus for my first bullet, which is really helpful when you're trying to pick someone off who's hiding under cover, or if you're trying to do that one shot on a boss so that you don't have to worry about him for the fight. But what makes this one better is prepared. So when I'm more than 40 meters away from a target, I'm doing more damage than I was before, but if I'm less than 40 meters away from a target, I'm doing slightly less. And I'm pretty sure I did some testing. I'm doing just base headshot damage without any bonuses, no critical hits. I'm doing 15,000 less if I'm up close than my other sniper rifle, but I'm doing 40,000 more if I'm 40 meters away. So realistically, I should be 40 meters away. I'm a sniper, so I'm going to be running with this one. I also got this one, which is pretty nice. This one has accuracy bonus, so it's really quick when you pop cover to aim down sights, and it also has brutal, but does, like I said, slightly less damage if I'm far away, but more damage if I'm closer. So this is another one that I got. The third one that I no longer have was just a huge critical monster, or critical chance monster. It had proficient as well as another critical chance boosting thing, but I hit the max cap for critical hit chance, so I got rid of it. Enough about that. Some things I've learned. So, explosive bullets in the dark zone. My goodness. So somebody commented and told me to try this out, and I've tried it out, and I'm not going back. The explosive bullets basically allow you to be a lazy sniper, because with a build like this, a body shot is basically enough to down anyone with an explosive bullet. And once they're downed, which is what makes these explosive bullets perfect, you can see it in some of my other videos, once they're downed, you can either 1 or 2 shot their downed body and kill them. You don't have to run up close. You don't have to get someone up close to melee them and take them out of the fight. You can just shoot again and they're dead. And it's great, especially because when somebody's downed really far away and there's no one nearby, they think, oh, well, I can go pick this person up. And then you shoot the downed body dies, and then you shoot the guy who was trying to pick him up, and you can down him too. And you can get these chain reactions going, and it's beautiful. So, if you're hunting rogues in the dark zone, I highly suggest you have a nice full stock of explosive bullets. You can get 1 every 2 hours in the base of operations. If you haven't yet, go to your special rewards vendor. You can get an explosive bullet there if you really need some. That only happens once, though, for the entire game. And when you're running around the dark zone, take a look for those little tiny bags if you've used some explosive bullets, because you can get them from there. So just stop by every single one as you walk past and check for them, because those things are key for hunting rogues, because it's realistically really difficult to line up your headshots on rogues that are running around or charging towards you, a whole group of them. Sometimes you just don't have time, so you can just mow people down with the explosive bullets. Also, another big thing, my tactical advanced talent, the one that gives you an increase of damage for every meter run during cover to cover, realistically is how I'm getting these numbers in these videos, because for a run like the run you just saw at the opening clip, it's giving me close to 50% damage increase because of how many meters I'm running. So if you can, try and line this kind of stuff up when you're about to engage someone. I know not every situation you can, but try and line up a nice cover to cover run before you start a fight. I know it's only 10 seconds, but it's key in order to get numbers this high. No other talent in here can give you damage increases of that much. So definitely use this one if you're trying to make some videos where you're trying to get the biggest snipe shot you can. I just wanted to make one more note about the sentry stuff before I wrap up the video. I had mentioned that I didn't like the sentry 4-set bonus because realistically I'm trying to one-shot headshot my enemies, but I know there are enemies in the game that can't just be one-shot headshot like the big heavy guys, unless you get crazy crits with crazy bonuses on them. But I know there are some times that the sentry set would help me, but normally when I'm running in these more difficult missions, my buddy who runs support has sentry set himself, and what he'll do is, because he can't do as much damage as us, he will go around and mark heads of enemies, and then go on to the next enemy and mark his head, and go on to the next enemy and mark his head, and then we will shoot the targets that he's marked for us. That setup means I don't need to have sentry myself, so that's another reason I don't run it. So if you have a buddy who's running support, try and convince him to get the sentry set, because if you already have gear that has full electronics, then that tactician's bonus you get doesn't really help, because with full electronics gear, you're already hitting the max cap of almost, I think, all of the skills in the game, so you don't need more skill power, because that's what the tactician set does. It increases your skill power, it doesn't increase the actual effectiveness of the skills you have. So if you have more skill power but you're already at the cap, it's wasted. So try and convince them to get sentry. Now, that being said, I still want to know what people's headshot damage is, and I know I made rules in my last one about it has to be solo, because you can combine all sorts of bonuses together and get crazy numbers, but I want to know, just as a base reference, people's solo damage. I also want to add the slight rule of it has to be without the full sentry or the full striker bonus, because you could get crazy damage numbers, yes, if you do all sorts of wind up ahead of time, or you mark a guy 3 times first with like your pistol or something, then pull out your sniper rifle and you shoot him. But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for just the pure one-shot damage by yourself. I've made these rules arbitrarily just to keep everyone who's trying to compare numbers at a base level. So let me know. I'm very curious to hear about them. I know there are much better sniper rifles out there than the one I have still, and I know there's much better gear out there than the gear that I currently have. So I want to know what people are getting for their headshots. Let me know. Also, thanks for watching the video. Let me know about any comments, constructive criticism, questions. I'll try and answer as many as I can. So, thanks again for watching, and peace out, everyone.